Hi, I'm Denise Righetti with Savor Our City Culinary Tours. Today we're here at Smoke Barbecue in Delray Beach, Florida, and I'm with Pitmaster Brian Terrell. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Denise. Welcome to Smoke Barbecue.
Thank you for having us. One of the things I love most about bringing our tours here to Smoke is that you come out and you actually speak with the people, tell them about some of the smoking process, and you're very engaging, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I enjoy talking to people. One, I'm very enthusiastic about barbecue and the process that it is, and letting people know. I don't give them all my secrets, of course not, but and it's also nice to meet people from different parts of the country because you bring in people from Georgia, from Mississippi, from Tennessee, and Texas as well. And the good thing about barbecue is that each area has their own regional dialect that they like to have with their barbecue.
Yeah, and we bring locals too who hadn't had a chance to experience that, and that's great. And you have quite an impressive resume. One of the things that I've listened when you've come out and talked is that, being that you are from the Kansas City area, you were with Oklahoma Joe's, which is pretty famous. Anthony Bourdain had come in at some point and had said that this was one of the 13 places that you must eat before you die. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff Staney, who's the owner of Oklahoma Joe's, we were college roommates, and he started doing competition barbecue, and he needed some help doing it. Now, he didn't need my help with the smoking because he was very, very good at that. I was a lift this, carry that, move that type of thing, but what he taught me is how to do championship quality barbecue in a restaurant.
And you were involved in a two-time winning team for some competitions, correct?
In Kansas City, they had the American Royal World Championship of Barbecue. At the time that we were there's about 350 teams. Now it's up to 600. It's unbelievable how many people they get there. They get tens of thousands of people who come down there on the weekend just in one night. It's obviously a big party, but it's also a lot of fun. And they've really done a great job of promoting the American Royal. We were fortunate enough to win it one year, the open part of it, and then the following year we won the Invitational.
That's terrific. So today you have before us one of your signature the brisket, the brisket that you serve on the tour. So it'd be great if you could take us behind the scenes into the kitchen where you do the smoking process and take us through that. How about that?
That sounds great. Let's go get smoky.
Okay.
Okay, as we talk today, we're going to do our brisket that we're going to smoke off for roughly about 14 to 16 hours, but the most important thing to do before that is we need to make our rub. What's a rub? Rub is all the spices that you put on the brisket that gives it all that wonderful flavor. It'll also give you what they call the char or the bark on the brisket. So to start off, we're going to add paprika, salt, some sugar, black pepper of course, some garlic powder, onion powder, cumin. Cumin, I really like cumin in the brisket. It gives it a really unique flavor. I really like the cumin that we put in there. And also chili powder. We're going to make it a little bit hot on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix all those together. Now, the good thing about barbecue is that I'm giving you a basic rub. You can change it however you want to. In Texas, they do a lot more black pepper and very little of the other spices. The chili powder is going to give it a little bit of heat. If you want a little bit hotter, grab some cayenne. Just put it in there. So we'll make ours a little bit more spicy. And as Emeril Lagasse says, pow, or bang, whatever he says. So we're going to take all these spices and we're going to mix them all up really nice. You want to make sure that you get all the clumps out of there, so take it between your hands and just rub it together like that. And we're going to get a real good mixture on that. Now, also with this, you don't need to make just enough for your brisket. This, once you make it up, it can hold anywhere from 6 to 8 months. So now we've got all of our spices all blended in together. let's set this off to the side. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our brisket. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of hint. A lot of people probably already do this, but if I can save one person from cutting their finger on a cutting board, it's worth my day on that. Most people will just take their cutting board and put it on their counter, and see how this slides around like that. And when you go to start cutting your brisket, the board will move around. So what you do, just get a nice little wet towel, put it on there, put your cutting board up on there. See how much more stable that is? A little bit of a helpful hint. Didn't pay for it, but you're going to get it for free. Now, our briskets, I cook between a 9 and 11 pound brisket. That's more the standard size of the briskets that are out there. If you want to cook brisket flats, you can do that as well, and I'll show you what the difference is between a flat and a whole. This is the other side. If you're cooking a brisket flat, it's mainly going to be this area right through here. You can see how the grain of the meat runs this way. Now, the top part, this is what we call the decal. And people who make burnt ends, this is where the burnt ends come from. And you can almost see the difference right through there. You can see the seam in the meat right through there. Nice, lovely fat right through there that'll cook all the way through. The best way to do this is to trim out part of this fat. Now, we're going to cook it between 14 and 16 hours. A lot of people say, yeah, it's going to cook all the way through. But there's some in here that's hard. They call this hard fat. This isn't going to cook off. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and trim that off. Take you a really sharp knife and just come right through here and trim that out. Throw that away. Come through here. Trim a little bit more out through here. Now, remember I talked about the flat and the top, or the decal? You can really see it now. This part here being the brisket flat, this being the decal right up through there. And you can see that nice little piece of fat that runs right through there. That'll cook through, give it a lot of flavor, and to keep the moisture in. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of this off the top here. This is a lot of fat that is on here, and it's not going to cook through, and you're not going to get the flavor and the seasonings down into the brisket as well. So we're going to trim some of that off there. Let me get this here. And you can see there that you're getting down into the meat. Always be careful, cut away from yourself. Don't want to lose any fingers. Right through there, come through here as well. You know, people ask me why I get started in barbecue. I love cooking for one, and I love entertaining. And I really enjoy making people happy when they come out to eat. I really enjoy that. That's one of the things. The other thing is when I started off, I used to watch those shows that used to be on the PBS. One of my favorites was a guy named Justin, I believe it was Wilson. And he did a Cajun cooking show, and it was, not only did you learn how to cook, but he also told great stories as he's talking. And he was just so matter of fact and just walking around and telling a story. Now you won't take your gumbo and throw it in here and all that. And it was really riveting. One of my favorite stories he's told was going about to a LSU football game. I'll fake an LSU Cajun accent, but he said, "Justin, you going to the football game this weekend?" And he said, "Yeah." Since I got me 2 tickets to go to the LSU game. He said, "Well, Justin, why you got yourself 2 tickets to go to the game? Who are you going to take?" And he goes, "Well, I'm going to go to the first half, and when I act like a fool and they throw me out of the game, I got me a ticket for the second half." And I just enjoyed watching him, and you also learn how to cook from that. And that's kind of how I got started into that. Obviously, you know, Julia Childs as well, and she used to tell great stories. One of the other things that I just learned about her is that she used to work as a spy during World War II. Not too many people knew that. Didn't pay extra for that either, did you? So we want to trim this off, not all the way down, but you want to trim it down to where the rest of this will keep that good moisture through there. So now we've got this. Trim it up just a little bit more here. Okay, now we're ready to go. We've got our brisket, it's all trimmed out. Again, you can see this is the brisket flat up in here, and you can see right in here, let me trim this back a little bit more just to show you. You can see where the grain of the meat changes. It's going this way here, and then this way here. And then this is where, so this is where the decal starts, and this is your brisket flat up in here. Okay, so now we're all ready to go. Now I always start with it upside down. The reason why is that if you're doing a lot of them, which, you know, when we do briskets, sometimes we do up to 10, 15 briskets at a time, and you're doing them in a hurry, and you don't realize which is the top and which is the bottom, because we always want to cook it with the top side up. But when you put all the rub on it, sometimes you can't figure out which way is which. So if you always start with it upside down, season one side, flip it over, do the other side, then you'll always know, hey, this is ready to go. So that's one of the little things that you'll learn there. So now we have our seasoning here. You can do it one of two ways. I have a little shaker that I'm going to use here, but if you want to use your hands, you can use your hands as well. Just load up there. And you want to put a really good coating on here. And as I was saying earlier, what this will do is when you cook it off and all the smoke it goes into the meat as well, you'll get a nice, what they call a bark on there. That's the nice crunchy black part that is on there. Okay, so we got this side. We want to get the sides. Flip it over, and then we're going to do this side here. Now, as I said, you can change the rubs however you like to and do them however to your personal flavor. Somebody in your family doesn't like it hot, you know, you can add a little bit more sugar. Cut back on the chili powder, cut back on the black pepper, and do it that way. If you like it more Texas style, a lot of black pepper on it. Okay, so now we have all this on here. We want to give it a good little pat to get everything on here. Make sure it stays. And now we're going to go and we're going to put it on our smoker. Grab my towel here. Don't want to burn my hands. Now, down to the way that you want to put it on the smoker. You want to do it with, say that this is the top part here. You want to do that facing away from you, because as you're inserting the meat thermometer, you want to get more into the brisket. So we're going to do it this way here. There we go. We want to put it out this way as we talked about. And we will see you in about 12 to 14 hours. Okay, so 14 hours later, here we are again, and we're going to check our brisket. What we want to do is we want to take it to a temperature between 168 and 172, 173 on that. That's going to give you a really nice tenderness factor on there. So we're going to check our temperature. Be careful to stand back, because all the smoke is just going to roar right back in your face here. And then what we want to do, as we said, we want to check right into the brisket flat here. So we want to check that, and there we go, 173. So we're going to take this baby right off. It's all ready to go. If we can get it underneath here. So now we have our brisket. What you want to do is you want to let this set for a little bit, much like what you do with a roast, in that you won't lose all the juices when you go to cut the meat. It's going to stay in there. It'll stay really nice on that. So how are we going to cut this? Now, most people would just take it and just cut it right straight down the middle. You don't want to do that, because what you want to do is you want to cut against the grain on the brisket. How do we know where the grain is? Because if we look here on the top, remember when we were looking at the brisket before we season it up, the grains in this will run this way. Now, with the brisket, they're going to run more this way. So the best way to check turn your brisket over, and you can see right there. If you can't see, just take your knife and cut back, and you can see the grain. Now the grain is going to run this way. So what we want to do is we want to cut from here to there. So we'll spin our brisket around, and you just want to go right through the middle here. All of those juices just coming right off of there. And there's our brisket. Well, this has been on for roughly 14 to 16 hours. And you can see all of the, remember we talked earlier about the flat and the top. You can really see the difference there. Here's the brisket flat. Here's your top right there. We've trimmed some of that fat out of there so it's not as fatty on there. Okay? Then what we want to do is we want to start cutting our slices. Now normally I would cut from the other way, but I want you to see how this cuts. So pardon my cross-handed here. And there's your brisket right there. Now what we'll do for you when you come in on one of the tours is what we'll do is we'll do nice little sliders. Some people do hamburger sliders like you can find at Crystal and places like that. What we do is we do them with brisket, and we also do them with pulled pork. So we'll take those, we'll cut them, put a little bit of our barbecue sauce on there, enjoy.
Brian, it's been great watching you make the brisket and now watching you prepare the sliders that you serve on our tours.
Well, let's get right to it, and I know you're hungry. And I know that when you bring your guests in that they're going to be really hungry as well. So let's show them how we do that.
Great.
Okay, so we've sliced our brisket. We have our little slider buns there. And what we're just going to do is we're just going to make these little sliders right through here. Put the brisket on there.
It just smells so incredible.
Well, that's the other good thing about barbecue is that you get the smell part of it as well. You go to a lot of places and you can't appreciate what the food tastes like without smelling it. And that's what I like about barbecue is that when we pulled those briskets off, I think one of the things that somebody on the cruise said was, wow, that smells great. And that's what I like to see. Now we've got a really nice juicy brisket there. We're going to put a little bit of barbecue sauce on top of it.
Yep.
Put our top on. Let's eat.
Okay. Join me, please.
Oh, I will. As we say,
Cheers.
Barbecue is not just for breakfast anymore.
Excellent. This is amazing.
Well, thank you for having us today.
Thank you very much for having us here.